Hello, ladies and gentlemen, back to your channel, seen LA like. Welcome to MediEvil Resurrection. Yeah, so in the last part, we kind of just, I talked a lot in the graveyard. Some of the levels are a little bit longer than I expected, slash me unexpectedly talking more than I should. But I think it's par for the course, at least for me. So I'll be basically just, playing through the game as much as I can and just showing off most of the levels. But in the last part, we finished off the graveyard and got a chalice for the Hall of Heroes. Here, we might get 2 chalices, depending on what it is. Like, it depends on whether or not I can do the thing I want to do. It depends. But first, let's go to Cemetery Hill.
Cemetery Hill. An excellent name for a blues singer.
Sounds like a gothic metal band. Hopefully it's not screamo. I'm sorry. And now Zarok.
Oh no!
The goof.
You're back, looking like something from a butcher's dustbin.
That's actually a good one.
Oh, and what's that smell? Oh, decomposition. Well, you're too late
That's
anyway.
spooky.
My army has already risen from the grave.
Maybe.
Still, never mind, eh? Chalk it up as yet another of your inglorious failures. I really need to work on that mocking laugh.
Yes, you do. Yeah, that's the difference with the game from the original slash this reimagining that some people don't like. That Zarok's more goofy in this game than he was in the original. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure whether or not he was supposed to be taken seriously in the original either. He felt more like a joke villain, well, less like a joke villain. He was supposed to slightly be intimidating but have his moments. Here, he's more goofy rather than actually, intelligently an intimidating threat of sorts. At least that's the vibe I'm trying to get from him. Though I will say there are certain moments here and there that kind of diminish his actual original whole, oh, he's a scary villain guy you have to deal with sort of persona. Though to be fair, I guess that's just a matter of opinion. It depends on how you feel about him as a whole. It's like, did you like his portrayal in the original, even though he didn't have that much to do? I kind of don't remember him as much as some people actually do in the original. At least I don't remember him much. I could be wrong, whatever. But I guess it's a difference in how everyone feels about him. So it's difference in taste, I guess. At least I don't remember him being as much of a biting threat as the original. At least I don't think so. Like, I don't remember him appearing much in levels, but I could be wrong. Maybe he has the same amount of screen time as that one. I'm not sure. But at least this is something, I guess. Oh yeah, real quick. These particular treasure chests, because the other treasure chests we saw were open and they gave gold, but these closed ones usually have a particular item in them, or they could be death traps. In the original, they kind of marked out the death trap ones, I think, and it was easy to tell when they would explode. So, somewhat these things can be helpful by clearing out enemies, but they're very deadly to use. So don't go near them too much, okay? So at least there's that. It's a little bit confusing somewhat now, because it's like, oh no, the chest could be possibly booby-trapped. So at least there's that, I guess. I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting.
The soil on that grave looks looser than the bowels of a man in a sleeping bag full of scorpions.
Okay, I didn't need that mental image, but okay. Thanks. Thanks, Al. See, this is what happens when you're just focused on one enemy and another one comes out of nowhere behind you. So I guess I could really be better at this combat than, you'd think. Though thankfully, I guess the spin attack actually does 2 attacks if you're able to get close enough for someone. So at least there's that. Thanks for the bronze shield, replacement, even though I didn't use it. But thanks for that anyway. Anyway. Real quick. Okay, just double checking. Okay, dearest sister Forest Witch, I'm leaving with my beloved seedlings, and we are taking Precious with us. We are going somewhere a witch can raise her pumpkin babies in peace and harmony, without fear of them getting stewed with tofu. Like I've heard tofu and pumpkin is actually pretty good. Not 100% sure because I haven't tasted it, but I've actually had tofu once, and I will admit it's kind of bland. But like we tried doing the whole thing when it's like, like I remember like we were trying to cook it with certain spices so that way it absorbed the taste, but you know, that type of stuff. It was okay. It just didn't taste as well as it should have, I guess. Like again, like tofu is meant to absorb the taste and stuff of things so that way it tastes better. So, you know, I could get in with that, but, you know, we unfortunately didn't make tofu the best it could be. Anyway, like, I'm talking about tofu. What am I talking about here? Pumpkin witch. Because if you couldn't tell, it's a witch that likes pumpkins. So, move to the Enchanted Forest if you want. Commune with your oaks. Have nude love-ins with your sycamores. Okay, that's kind of weird. But, you know, funny. But do it on your own. This cove is finished. I have left a witch talisman here in case any decent, sane, meat-eating person wish to contact me in the future. That obviously does not include you, so don't you dare touch it. Signed, the Pumpkin Witch. Yeah, if you couldn't tell, she's a pumpkin witch. I will say, I think the reason why she likes man-eating people is because... No, not man-eating people, meat-eating people, is because they won't eat pumpkins. So at least there's that. But yeah, that's a difference in this game that they did. They decided to have a slight rivalry between the witches, in which Forest Witch and Pumpkin Witch slightly don't like each other and are slightly antagonistic toward each other. But that really doesn't do much, or doesn't really count into the game too much. It helps out and it slightly culminates in one situation, but it's not really that interesting or does much. You see? It's way faster. In the original, that would have been a little bit slower. Actually, I think I might be able to showcase the original speed of the original one in a bit, because holy cow, is it really slow. Whew. But anyway, yeah, clubs can destroy most breakable surfaces and stuff. Things that look like suspicious stuff, including wooden things and stone stuff. So keep that in mind. But the one thing the club can do that another weapon later on can't do is that you can actually light the club on fire. You just really have to get up into a specific fire's particular range and then use it to light up everything. Pressing circle on the club just makes it stick out so that way you're able to use it, so at least there's that. And these are mummies. Literally, those were just mummies. I don't know what they were supposed to do, but they were just there for a second.
In a cemetery, I sense great logic at work.
Yeah, sort of. You sort of sense great logic at work. And by that I mean there's a grave that had loose soil, and you have a shovel. What are you gonna do? I'm pretty sure you know what you're gonna do. I will say that's kind of Salam's technical worst quality about him in this game. He points out the obvious too much sometimes.
Witch's talisman, used near a bubbling cauldron to summon a witchy.
Yeah, but not this cauldron because it's dead. To be fair, you could have gotten it from, you could have like insinuated from this, but you know, I'm just saying. Anyway, yeah, so you know, sometimes he points out the obvious a little too much, and here it is. Okay, I thought he would have said like, ooh, you can use the spade here. But no, okay, he doesn't. But he points out the obvious a good amount of times, someone that can be slightly annoying, and I can see the issues with him sometimes. Not completely, but sometimes. Oh yeah, and here's the open treasure chest, by the way. That almost looks like the other treasure chests that are closed, so there's a difference. Because, you know, this isn't confusing at all. Like, I understand it's like, oh yeah, the closed ones mean you have to hit it and you get an item. But at the same time, it's a little bit weird. It's like, maybe you could have used like a mountain of gold as like a indication for like getting more gold instead of chests. I don't know. Slightly explanation, but And I replenished the club. Okay. Not really that big a fan of the club, but at least I can replenish it. And that's kind of what I meant before. It's like the club really gets a lot of like particular replenitional support here. It's so much so that you really don't need to worry about like ever running out of the things. So at least there's that. So you know, at least you don't run out of clubs, I guess.
Stranger. Now, what can I do for you?
Okay, yeah, I want to buy some more ammunition for this because you know I was kind of being wasteful. But yeah, you can't buy the like any replenishment for the club in the shops for some reason. That seemed like a missed opportunity, but I guess it's to make it harder. I don't know. Now the shield blocks most damage from enemies, not completely. I think the enemies take advantage of whenever you're not blocking. So at least there's that, I guess, to make the game a little bit more difficult. But I really wish like the blocking was a little bit more helpful to some degree, but it's not bad. And here's the chalice. I knew it was here because I remember specifically like looking around this place for about like 10 minutes figuring out where it was, and then I realized the whole place over here seems suspicious. So at least I was able to get to it faster than I did in my original playthrough. Thankfully though, I didn't decide to record the entire playthrough of that one because
Maybe try whacking them.
yeah, I'll try sometimes. Ow! Yeah, iron balls are not able to be clubbed. Or at least not able to be destroyed like regular... you know, what do you call it? Balls of stone. Heck, they're able to destroy the stone balls, so... You know, there's some precise platforming here to make you question, like, when to strike or when to run. Unfortunately, I'm not really good at timing when to strike the stinking, like, boulders made of frickin' stone. So... Dang it, I was so close. I hit you out of spite. Come on, get up, get up, get up. Yes! That's so much faster than the original. And that's it, really. Like, seriously, in the original, I will give them credit. At least in the original, it made sense what happened. Technically, sort of, not really. In the original, once you got up here, these things kind of just went, "We have failed thee," and kind of just die all of a sudden. I think the implication is that they, you know, they feel like they failed the master and go, "Oh, we have failed, there's nothing left for us," and then just die by themselves as a suicide sort of thing. But I'm not sure whether or not that is the case or not. Like, I think that's not the case. I could be wrong, whatever. But yeah, it kind of made sense why, you know, that makes sense. But here, yeah, these guys don't start doing the whole boulder thing even if you're away from them. They just shut up and stop. Like, there's no button to turn them off, so I'm thinking like, why'd they stop now? Why don't they just keep going and hit you? Because, I guess because they just don't feel like it? I don't know. Like, I didn't understand that at all when I first played this. And I think the original did that, I'm pretty
The
sure.
Hall of Heroes.
I could be wrong.
Bring the kids. It's like a theme park with a whole cast of lovable, heavily armed friends.
So, like Marvel? Well, it's not like they're hairy armed. It's not like as if, like, the people in Marvel are hairy armed. They're just hairy. Because some of them grow beards. A lot of, like, the three main characters had long beards, or at least thick beards at some point. Man, I think it's kind of funny. But here's the real difference between, like, the original game's voice acting and one of the other characters' voice acting. I might do, like, a comparison here instead of the original. I don't know. It depends on what I do.
Ah, Fortescue! What's this I hear about that archcad Zarok still being alive? Thought you killed the fella. Never mind, you old warhorse. Better show him what's what, eh? I expect Johnny's zombies a bit more of a handful than you remember. How are you doing for weapons? Here, take my war hammer. It'll smash anything and it won't fall apart like a club. I only ever get to use it cracking walnuts around this place.
He's like, I can somewhat forget about these because I'm trying to do this in one playthrough.
What's this I hear? That archcad Zarok still alive? Thought you killed the fella.
Hey, Kid Icarus is a good cat.
Never mind, you old war horse. Happens to the best of us. Think you've slaughtered a chap, but up he pops again. Crushed limbs, flattering like cheap flags, but otherwise perfectly chipper. Or is that just me? What? Ha ha! Ha ha! Anyway, I expect Johnny Zombie's a bit more of a handful than you remember. How are you doing for weapons, old man? Tell you what, take my old war hammer. It's no bother. In 2 centuries, all I've used it for is putting up shelving.
Yeah, the hammer is technically better in this game, but slightly worse. I don't know, it depends on how you feel. In the original game, from what I can tell, you can hammer things pretty quickly, but in this game, it's a lot slower. Especially with certain attacks. The heavy attack is even slower, even though I think it just does the same amount of damage to the other attack. It just has a longer animation. But even this one is way slower. Like, I'm pretty sure I can show a clip of the original where the hammer is even faster. And I understand, it's a big hammer, so that makes sense. But at the same time, you know, make the quick strikes actually quick to some degree. I don't know. But anyway, the hammer is just basically a better version of the club. It breaks walls and everything without degrading. It has no degradation system, but unfortunately, it cannot light itself on fire like the club does. So at least there's that issue. So anyway, anytime you charge up an attack, the club does a special shockwave move that hurts enemies. So at least there's that. I guess it's a double whammy because you can hit the enemy and also hit them with the shockwave. So I like the hammer in the original game, which can do the shockwave thing, but it's a lot faster in that game, I think. So, you know, this is a slight degradation or slight, like, what do you call it? What's it called? Oh yeah, slight downgrade, but it's not too bad. But I will say this move is definitely fun. I'm not sure whether or not the original had this, but it's still a fun move. If you hold down the strong attack button, Dan will do a 360 with his hammer and then end off with a shockwave. This is pretty cool for like enemies crowding you, so at least there's that. But I still like this hammer, honestly, regardless of whether or not it's slightly downgraded slightly in this game, but it's still fun. Anyway, I said we would go out and get 2 chalices, and the reason for that is because, okay, hopefully I'm able to keep this. First, let's head back to Dan's crypt real quick.
Dan's crypt. The best place to go if you're looking for a dead Dan.
First, let me save, because saving is really quick. Like, seriously, look. It's, like, so quick. But anyway, by the way, yeah, sorry if it tells you what date is it that I'm recording. But, yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so anytime you enter the areas back here...
Ah, a training room, eh? Nice decor. Very macabre. That is a rune.
Dang it, I was hoping he wouldn't talk.
In the claw of the rune gate and open sesame.
But anyway, yeah. So anytime you come back, most of the stuff replenishes, such as health and the amount of gold. Although it's only 50, so... You won't get that much gold for it. And real quick to explain, instead of a life bottle, it gives you a small health vial, so at least there's that.
I never had you down as a reader. You use a monocle, right?
Zombies, skeletons, yeah. So basically, yeah, this basically just lists off the enemies with cool artwork, honestly, that I think is pretty cool. So it just basically does that. And the treasures actually showcase all of the key items that you get, not the weapons, for some reason. I really wish they could have done a thing where it's like, oh, they showed you the weapons and stuff. So I thought it would be like cool to say like, oh, someone's Warhammer. I forgot who that guy was. We'll learn about his name later. But the Warhammer, like, it would have been cool to read a small description of the Warhammer and then just been like, oh man, that's so cool and all that stuff. But, I guess it's fine that it just talks about the treasures that you get, like these things. But, okay, yeah, okay, good. I still have the spade with me. Because here's the thing. If you notice at the top right of the corner of the screen, you actually see that you have a chalice. And you may be thinking, why is it there? There's no chalice around here that you can get. Unless, you may be thinking, like, why not over here? Because I'm pretty sure you see a corner that we can get to. But we can't get to that because we need a specific piece of equipment to get us through that lava. So you may be thinking, oh, well, we can't get the chalice now. But no, the chalice for this level is actually hidden somewhere secret. It actually surprised me the first time. I was like, huh, this is actually a pretty good secret that makes this place a little bit more than it looks. And here it is. You see this wall? It looks slightly a little bit different than the other walls. Well, you can break it.
It is your mummy done. What? Suddenly I can do no jokes.
Bam! And this is where the chalice is, ladies and germs. And I'm being serious. You have to dig up this grave, and you get the chalice. And really, that's literally the only enemy here that fills it up. So it's a free chalice, which you can get really quickly after literally like beating like the first level of the game. Well, actually the second level of the actual game, because you know you need to get the spade and you need to get a club. So, you know, at least there's that. So I actually thought this was a pretty cool secret when I first learned about it, and when I remembered it, because it's like I could have sworn there was a way to get another chalice before level 3 or something. I was thinking like, where is it? And then, yeah, you can get a chalice. It's in Dan's crypt somewhere. And I thought it was behind that fire lava pool. And then I was like, no, I need the dragon armor. But then I'm thinking like, no, it's got to be something else. And yeah, I looked up a guide because, you know, it's been a while since I played it. I'm thinking like, how do I do it? And then it's like, oh my god, no, this has to be not right? Because I will admit, I kept on hitting different walls with the hammer for a while. And I thought like, okay, where is it? But then it's there, and I'm thinking like, oh my god, that's so cool. So I'll give the developers a lot of, like, you have to give the developers a lot of credit on that little secret, because it's kind of cool, honestly. But anyway, yeah, I'm praising...
Welcome to the Hall of Heroes. Enjoy your visit. Patrons are reminded to leave quietly. We've had complaints from the neighbors.
What neighbors? I'm guessing it's Valhalla that he's getting complaints from. But anyway, yeah, so, you know, it's pretty cool that you can actually get a few new weapons within a short time if you can actually find that secret. Because it doesn't tell you anything about it, and the only way to find it is through a guide, which is pretty cool. Although it's a little bit of a dick move, since it's like, well, now you can't find all the chalices and can't get the good ending unless you figure it out. But, I'm not sure. Like, it breaks even. It's a pretty cool secret, but at the same time, it's like, maybe a little bit more help to figure it out would have been better. Though, to be fair, the screen does signify that there is a chalice there, so it's like, it tells you subtly that you need to have something in order to get the hidden weapons there. It's like, there's something there, but you can't find it yet. So at least there's that, right? Anyway, as you can tell, pretty much you got a slightly head start in your weapons count, so that way you're able to get more better weapons a little bit earlier than you should. At least if you remember to get that, because I will admit, I was in a little bit deeper than I am here and got certain weapons at certain points, so at least there's that. But here, let's actually talk to this guy. This guy is another example of technically better voice acting, but, you know, it's opinionated. Like, oh hey, the next voice acting of this character in the original is technically better, here, but in the original, it's a little bit more hammy and interesting, honestly. Depends on how you look at it.
Fortescue, you jawless arrow magnet, what are you doing back here? What? Call me Mr. Woden the Mighty. How I pity the people of Gallowmere, that their fate should once again be in the hands of a chump like you. Still, I suppose it's not fair to take it out on them. Take my sword, and do try not to stab yourself in the foot. You know, I've always had my doubts about you, Fortescue. You're just not carved from hero material.
But let's just
Fortescue,
listen.
you jawless arrow magnet. What are you doing in a hall of heroes?
Don't you know how that works?
How I pity the people of Gallowmere. Oh, that their fate should be in the hands of a vacuum-headed chimp like you. Still, I suppose it's not fair to take it out on them. Take my longsword, and try not to stab yourself in the foot. You know, I've always had my doubts about you, Fortescue. You're simply not carved from hero material.
I will say, I kind of preferred Dan's response to him in the original game, where he says, "I'll show you." Because like it makes Dan in this game look more humble, or a little bit more cowardly / more timid. But I kind of like the biting attitude he had in the original, where he's like, "Okay, whatever, get on with it. I'll show you," type of mentality. But here he's more timid in that sense, more cowardly than you think. Granted, in the original he made stuff up to make him seem better than he is. Like, that's his whole character. But still, you know, it's better implemented in the first game. So, yep, two-handed sword. You can only literally perform about the same amount of combos as any other sword combo. But at least it has a longer reach. I think it deals more damage, but I'm not sure. All I do know, well, I don't think it does more damage. All I do know is that it's a longer reach sword at the cost of, you know, not being able to use a shield. But it's different. It's a different sort of thing that makes it worth it, honestly. So yeah, now we have two weapons. We have a longsword and a warhammer, which brings up another issue with this game I kind of have. I really wish this game had a quick select where you can, you know, select your weapons or possibly press something quickly enough that you can switch between them. But it's fine, I guess. At least the game pauses, so that way you're not completely doomed whenever you use it. Okay, like, I'm wondering, am I seeing that correctly? No, the finger's actually pointing in some different way. But yeah, so, yeah. The voice acting for that character was definitely more ridiculous in the other game, but it was kind of funny. Here it's more serious and being more like, oh, slightly more pompous, so it makes sense. But here, I think it's fine. I think it's a difference in taste. But anyway, I'll see you next time for the next video of MediEvil once we actually get to another level. Hopefully it won't be as talkative as this one. You know, slightly talkative, but still. I'll see you until then. Until then, sign armor bots. Take care. I need to get Dan in the camera view. Jesus.